Hello, I'm Kent Syverud, and in this short presentation, I'm going to talk about the 10 steps that you should take in preparing to negotiate something. This talk is designed particularly for two kinds of negotiations. One, the simulated exercises in this course, in which there are defined facts and parameters assigned to you for conducting a negotiation, but also for negotiations you would conduct out in the world in all sorts of settings. We're going to talk about how to prepare best for both kinds of negotiations. In these comments and in this preparations, many of the observations will assume that you are a lawyer or functioning in a legal role. However, the preparation steps are really the same for people from all sorts of disciplines preparing for all sorts of negotiations. And we have worked and practiced on these with people from all disciplines in this university and in the world. So hopefully they will be useful from whatever direction you're coming at preparing for a negotiation. First, to remind you, in a simulation problem like the exercises you're doing in this course, there are aspects of it that are not like the real world. The facts are shorter and can be contained in one or two pieces of paper, which require, which requires you to play a role and step into role as assigned in the simulation. There is no client often to consult with or no time to consult with the principal who you are representing as agent. Often the facts put you in a role that you have no prior expertise in, whereas in the real world often you'll be negotiating in areas because you are an expert in them. So for example, in one negotiation often used in this course, you will be renting a wedding hall. You may not be a parent, you may not yourself have been married, and nevertheless the simulation may put you in that role and require you to assume it. Finally, in simulations, there are artificial time constraints created in which you have to reach agreement or attempt to reach agreement in a defined span of time. Of course, none of these things may be true all the time in the world, but in fact, these constraints on simulation are often mimicked by your experience in the world, a world in which there are often time constraints, a world in which you are often compelled to negotiate in an area where you are not an expert, a world in which often there are facts or law you do not know in advance. So both for simulations and for real-world negotiations, I want to talk a little bit in general about 10 steps you should take to prepare before you negotiate anything. And I'd like to start just by listing them and then working through them in sequence briefly. The first is to know the facts and the law applicable to your negotiation. The second is to conduct additional research within the time available on the facts and the law not provided to you in advance. The third is to remember, particularly for those of you with legal training, that a negotiation is not an oral argument. The fourth is that it is important to study and understand the time, place, manner, and context in which the negotiation will occur, to master that time, that place, that manner, and that context. The fifth is to understand your client's objectives. Most of the time as a lawyer, if you're being paid, you'll be negotiating on behalf of others, and it is their objectives, not yours, that matter. The sixth is to have an intended order of issues that you will negotiate about and attempt to make sure that you follow your agenda. The seventh is to understand your best alternative to negotiated agreement, your BATNA in English. The eighth is to plan what questions you will ask of the other person you're negotiating with or institution or team you're negotiating with. The ninth is to anticipate the difficult questions that you will be asked and how you will answer them. And the 10th and last is to reflect upon in advance how you are going to record the steps to your agreement as you go along, rather than waiting until the very end to focus on how you will record your agreement.